For 5 years, I sat at the cabinet table in 10 Downing Street. For 2 of those, as Secretary of State for Defence. I'm back to explore how, a century ago, predecessors behind these walls, war-weary ministers, responded to a bloody rebellion in Dublin. So it is a British perspective on the rising, and from that perspective we examine whether the British government was ever really engaged with the question of Ireland. My conclusion is really that Asquith, the Prime Minister, was hugely distracted by, of course, the First World War and many other problems that he faced. And so the British government never really faced up to the intelligence that it was receiving, that a rising was likely to occur over the Easter weekend, took no precautions, and then found itself massively taken by surprise. And then the British government sends over General Maxwell to be the military governor of Ireland, and he begins a series of military tribunals which are held in private and which lead to the death penalties, which are then mainly carried out in Kilmainham jail. In total, 16 rebels are executed as a result of the rebellion. And that has a dynamic effect in changing opinion in Ireland. The Prime Minister, not focused on the issue, eventually travels to Dublin in May of 1916 and begins to recognise the impact on Irish public opinion that the executions have had. Undoubtedly, Irish independence would not have occurred when it did and how it did without the rising of Easter 1916. I think a tougher question is, did the rebellion then initiate a century of violence on the island of Ireland? And did it mean that partition between North and South was at least more rigorous than it would have been under Home Rule? Did the rebellion bring about independence but make the possibility of a united Ireland much more distant? For a British audience, maybe some of these issues are relevant too, as we consider the aspirations of the Scots to be independent. There are plenty of parallels a century ago. A coalition government that was dependent on Irish support and that brought in Home Rule. And I was rather surprised when, during the debate on Scottish independence last year, there weren't more references to the last time that a part of the United Kingdom decided to secede.